Okay, you're going to take a test next, and the test, you can use this blue sheet that I have for you. It tells you how to convert decimals to percentages, fractions, decimals, percent to decimals, and those are the conversions that somebody would basically need to know. So rename 0.35 as a percentage. So this 0.35 is a decimal, okay? It's a decimal, D-E-C-I-M-A-L, decimal. And I need it to be a percentage, so it's decimal to percentage. So decimal to percentage. You can do one of two things. You can either multiply by 100 or you can move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. Either one's okay. So if I times 100, 0.35 times 100 is 35, okay? So it's a percentage, so 35, and if you end up as a percentage, it's 35%. Okay, again, that's a decimal, so D-E-C-I-M-A-L, decimal. Decimal to percentage. You can either multiply by 100 or you can move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, okay? So you can either go this way or you can take it times 100. That's 7.5, so 7.5%. Okay, 5.6, so here's the decimal. It's a decimal as a percentage, so decimal to percentage, okay? Again, you can multiply by 100 or you can move the decimal 2 spaces right. So we're going to times 100. So 560%. Okay. Now for the next one, rename 3/5 as a decimal and as a percentage. So there's two things we have to do, decimal and percentage. So first I want a decimal, then I want a percentage, okay? So decimal and percent. Okay, so 3/5. So 3/5 is a fraction, okay? So I'm going fraction to decimal first. So fraction to decimal, I take the top divided by the bottom. So I'm going to take 3 divided by 5. 0.6, okay? Okay, and that's decimal. Now I go decimal to percent. So decimal to percent, you can either multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. So times 100. And I got 60. So 60%. So I need two answers there. Okay, rename 4/7 as a decimal and as a percentage. So decimal, this is a fraction. And I need to go fraction to decimal and then decimal to percentage. So I have two answers here. Okay, so decimal. It's a fraction, so fraction to decimal. Top divided by bottom. So I take 4 divided by 7. Okay, so 0.57. And then there's a 1 there. So that'll stay at 0.57. Okay, so 0.57. Okay, and then decimal to percent. Decimal to percent, multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. So times 100. Okay, so 57%. Okay, 80% is a decimal. Okay, so again, I just have one answer, and that's the decimal. Okay, so 80 is a percent, so I'm taking a percent to a decimal. Percent to decimal. Okay, So percent to decimal means you can either divide by 100 or move the decimal 2 spaces to the left. Okay? So we can divide by 100. And I get 0.8. Okay, 6% is a decimal. Again, that's a percent. And I need the decimal, so it's percent to decimal. Okay? So percent to decimal, divide by 100 or move the decimal 2 spaces left. Okay, so 6 divided by 100. 0.06. Again, if you move the decimal, you put the decimal here once, twice, put a 0, and that's the same thing. Okay, again, we have a percent, and I need to make it a decimal. Okay, so percent to decimal, divide by 100. $1.85. Okay, now my next page. Find 6% of 72. Okay, so again, we need to find out how much 6% is of 62. Okay, so if I'm finding the percent of a number, okay, think of that as money. We need to find out how much money that is. Okay, so what I want to do first is do a percent to decimal, always that. So divide by 100. So you need to take that 6 divided by 100. 0.06. And then means I'm going to multiply then by 62. I get 3.72, so $3.72. Okay, 35% of 95. Okay, so again, think of that as $95. Okay, so put your money amount. Now you need to, again, percent to decimal. So divide by 100. $0.35. And then of means I'm going to multiply by 95. $33.25. Okay, 70% of 150. So again, percent to decimal, you need to divide by 100. $0.7. And means you're going to multiply them by 150. Okay. So 105. That's money, so we need a dollar sign on that. Okay, 225% of 32. Okay, so again, make your percent into a decimal by dividing by 100. So we're going to divide that percent by 100. So 2.25. Then means you times by 32. 72. So you're over 100%. So if it's over 100%, the number grows. Okay. So $72. Okay, now mean, median, and mode. Okay. I have a bunch of numbers here, 78, 60, 78, 36, 54, 60. And we have to find the mean first. So the mean is adding and dividing by how many numbers there are. So add them first. So 78 plus 60 plus 78 plus 36 plus 54 plus 60. And so I add. So 366, and then I need to divide 366 by how many numbers there are, okay? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, so I divide by 6. And I get 61. So that's the mean. Now the mode is the most often number. So I have 78 and 78, okay? So 78 would be my mode. Oh, there'd also be 60, two 60s. So it's 78 and 60. So those both appear twice. Now in the median, the middle value, cross out the highest with the lowest. So the highest is 78, the lowest is 36. That's round 1. Now round 2, I have another 78, and then my next lowest is 54. Now I don't want to cross out again, so don't cross out again, because there will be no numbers left. Okay, so what I do instead is I add, so 60 plus 60, and that's 120, and then divide by how many numbers. So there's 1, 2, so divide by 2. So 120 divided by 2 is 60, okay? Okay, next problem, the mean, the mode, and the median. So the mean, again, I'm going to add these all together. So 84 plus 75 plus 55 plus 63 plus 71 plus 95 plus 83 equals 443. And then divide by how many numbers we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I want to divide by 7. Okay, I get 63.28, but then there's a 5, so it goes up from 0.28 to 0.29. Whoops, sorry, my bad. Okay, then our mode, okay, most often. Well, there is not a most often. They all appear just one time, so none. Again, most often. Okay, medium, middle value, cross out high, low. So the highest, 95. The lowest, 55. That's 1. Now next one, 84. 63, that's 2. And then the next, I've got 71, or sorry, 83, 71. Now this is the only number I have, 75, so the median's 75. Okay, and here's the next one. A company makes a profit of $3 million. The next year, the idea is to increase the profit by 250%. Find what they want the profit to be next year, okay? All right, so first thing I do, it's increase. So I take 100%. You start with that because that's your whole, that's your original. And then increasing it by 250 is adding 250%. And that's 350%. And I want to find 350% of $3 million. And I got to find out how much money that is. So again, you want to make your percent to a decimal, so divide by 100. So I'm going to take this here and divide by 100. Okay, that's 3.5. And it says of, so we're going to multiply by 3 million. So that's going to be 10,500,000. So every 3 you make a comma, okay? All right, and then our last one. If a town with a population of 8,440 will see its population decrease 30%, what's its population? Again, decrease. So I have 100%, but this time I'm going to minus 30%. That makes 70%. Okay. And I need to find 70% of 8,440. Okay. So that's how many people. Population means people. Okay. So again, I percent to decimal, divide by 100. So divide or move the decimal twice to the left, whatever you feel most comfortable with. 0.7. And then I multiply by 8,440. Okay, and I get 5,908.